What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. Now, the moment I saw reports about Jonathan Marchessault potentially being on the move and being open to being traded after only one season in Nashville, my mind immediately went to one place. How perfect would he be wearing a Canucks jersey? As someone who's watched this team struggle to find that clutch scoring punch in crucial moments, the idea of adding a guy who literally won a Conn Smythe trophy for his playoff performance is almost too good to be true. But before we get carried away with dreams of playoff glory, we need to break down the reality of this situation. We need to break down the cost, the fit, and whether or not Jim Rutherford would even consider making this kind of splash move. We're going to break it all down right here on the line change right now. Welcome to the line change. Now, as you saw from both the title of this video, the thumbnail, as well as the intro, we're going to be talking about Jonathan Marchessault being a potential trade target for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, I saw this the other day, and I instantly jumped at it. Not once throughout this, at least throughout the beginning of this offseason for the Vancouver Canucks, have I even considered Jonathan Marchessault as a trade target for the Canucks until I saw this article, talking about it and talking about how Jonathan Marchessault is open to being traded from Nashville, despite having signed a long-term deal with Nashville last offseason. And yeah, just the fact that, after only one season, he's considering moving on, especially after the disastrous season that Nashville had. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. This article is, as always, and of course, from our friends at Canucks Army. One friend in particular that you guys may know, who was actually made an appearance on this podcast, our good buddy David Quadrelli. So David Quadrelli wrote this article. It's a fantastic piece, and we're going to dive right into it. Add Jonathan Marchessault's name to the list of players that Vancouver Canucks could go out and acquire this offseason. On Wednesday's edition of Daily Faceoff Live, Frank Saravelli reported that Nashville Predators forward Jonathan Marchessault is open to the idea of being traded this offseason. So if that's the case, the short answer is that yes, the Canucks could go out and trade for Marchessault if they're not one of the teams on his 15-team no-trade list, of course. And of course, I'm not aware of who's on his 15-team no-trade list. So for the sake of this video and this article, we're going to just go ahead and say that they're not. But should they? Let's dive in. Let's start by looking at the player. 2 seasons ago, Jonathan Marchessault scored 42 goals with the Vegas Golden Knights. Throughout his career, he's been good for about 25 to 30 goals every season. Last season, however, Marchessault was a member of the disastrous Nashville Predators, who stumbled right out of the gate and never found their footing en route to a measly 68 points, good for 7th in the Central Division. The end result from Marchessault was a measly 21 goals and 56 total points, the lowest point total he's posted in a season with at least 75 games played since 2016-2017. And so with year one of his 5-year contract in the rearview mirror, Marchessault is reportedly open to a change of scenery. Now let's look at the cost. The cost of acquiring Marchessault really hinges on if Nashville is willing to retain any salary on his contract. With 4 years left at $5.5 million annually on his deal, Marchessault turns 35 next season, and with his contract running until he's 38, it's safe to assume that there will be a drop-off in production at some point. That's certainly something any acquiring team would take into consideration. If the Predators don't want to retain, however, this could represent a real buy low opportunity for the Canucks, with Marchessault wanting out, at least to some degree, and coming off a down year. Without retention, it would be shocking if Nashville gets offered even a first-round pick for Marchessault. We'd likely be looking in the second or third round pick range with a B-level prospect likely heading back to Nashville as well. For the Canucks, who have a lot of work to do this offseason, the low cost, both in cap hit and acquisition, could be one of the most intriguing things for the Canucks. Now let's look at the fit and how Marchessault would fit in this Canucks lineup and on this Canucks roster. Marchessault is a surefire top six winger and likely becomes the Canucks' first or second best winger the minute they acquire him. Obviously, they'd like to do more than just go out and get Marchessault this offseason, but as a Brock Besser replacement, the Canucks could do much worse than a player who scored 42 goals just 2 seasons ago. Marchessault isn't a defensive ace by any means, but he's also not a defensive liability either. Remind you of anyone? For a Canucks team that struggled to produce offense, adding a volume shooter like Marchessault, who is in the 93rd percentile of the league for shots on goal this past season, might be just what they need. Like Besser, Marchessault does most of his work from right in front of the net and the low slot. In conclusion, as a proven scoring right winger, Marchessault represents a cheaper, albeit older, Brock Besser replacement for the Canucks. Of course, ideally, he'd be the second or third best forward the Canucks acquire this offseason if management seriously hopes to turn this team around. But they've got holes to fill, and Marchessault could be an intriguing buy low option for the Canucks to fill one of those holes. Do you think the Canucks should make a play for Jonathan Marchessault? I mean, I'm all in for Marshy. I mean, I'll admit, I've always been a fan of Marchessault, the player. You know, obviously his run with Vegas, having won a Stanley Cup with Vegas, being the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, you can't really get much better than Marchessault. Yes, he's aging, and his production could fall off in the next few years. Obviously, this year you could argue that it may have already started. Perhaps that's either his production going down due to his age, or he was just on a really bad Nashville Predators team. Sorry, Nashville fans, but it's true. They were really bad. And yeah, so I absolutely love this idea of Jonathan Marchessault being a trade target for the Vancouver Canucks. Honestly, I'll have to admit, my when it comes to this offseason for the Canucks, my dream offseason for the Vancouver Canucks is acquiring Marco Rossi and Jonathan Marchessault. You plug your hole being left by Besser leaving with Marchessault. You plug your hole that you need at 2C at your second line center with Marco Rossi. If the Canucks are able to acquire those two players this offseason, I would be over the moon happy with those acquisitions. And then, of course, perhaps getting a second center, like perhaps someone who's maybe a tier below that, who can just slot in maybe at 3C, or be as like someone to lean on if something were to happen when it comes to Filipino, for example. But yeah, definitely my two that I really want the Canucks to go after are Marco Rossi and Jonathan Marchessault. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about the idea, the possibility, and just how exciting it would be if we had Jonathan Marchessault acquired by the Canucks and just seeing him in a Canucks jersey, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Just imagine him being in a Canucks jersey and potentially putting up another 30, maybe even a 40 plus goal season. But uh but yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Do you guys like this idea? Do you guys not like this idea? Do you guys think it has some risk involved due to Marchessault's age? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks as well as your Abbotsford Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss a single video. On that note, I'd like to give a big shout out and a thank you to GASSY JACK ART. This video is brought to you by GASSY JACK ART. For those of you that do not know who GASSY JACK ART is, GASSY JACK ART produces hockey prints on archival paper and canvas that have been rated to last over 100 years. Their product range features a variety of players from different teams, including the Edmonton Oilers, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, Colorado Avalanche, and more, as well as your Vancouver Canucks. Be sure to check out GASSY JACK ART. I will leave a link to his website in the description down below. Right now, he is having his season end sale still going on, where you can buy 2 prints. If you buy 4 prints, you get 2 of them for free. So you're only paying for 2, even though you're getting 4. I've already done it. I bought in 4 prints. I just ordered 4 more. And I'm very looking forward to getting those prints. Go ahead and check them out. GASSY JACK ART. You're not gonna regret it. I'll tell you that. Actually, I'll tell you that for free. If you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. You can also find us on Instagram at The Line Change. You can find us on X at Line Change Van. You can also find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. If you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Once again, on Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us. It is greatly appreciated. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, go Canucks, go. Go Abby. Abby wins game 2. They're up 2-0 in the series. They have all the momentum in the world going into Texas for game 3, which will be on Monday. After this, I got a video that's recapping the Abbotsford versus Texas Stars game 2. Be sure to look out for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.